Hello again everybody, what is up, it's Ghost here, and there are three of us today, and we are going to be talking about Batman Arkham Knight. So this isn't going to be a review as such, but more a informal discussion about Batman in general, Arkham Knight and how good it was. So I guess you could call it a review, but it's not really, it's more just a discussion of how we thought the game was, in particular compared to the other two, and whether it was really the, I guess, end of the trilogy that we all wanted to see, and in Oscar's case, the game that everybody hypes it up to be, because of course he hadn't played any of the other games before, and that's such. So I guess I'll start off with my own opinion about it. I was really happy with how Arkham Knight ended up. I didn't think it reached the heights of Arkham City, as in it didn't have quite the same leap from Arkham Asylum to Arkham City, that leap that those two games had between them. But I also think it managed to implement a lot of new things very well, including the Batmobile. I'll stand by that because I really enjoyed how they implemented the Batmobile. There were definitely some wrong bits about that, but I guess we'll get into that.
Do you think it was overused?
Later.
Like that's one of the things that I thought definitely was overused.
Towards the end of the game, I think it was shoehorned in. Like, they seemed to sort of purposely be putting you into situations where you had to use the Batmobile.
The bit at the end where you had to defend the tree from
yes.
which Poison Ivy was like, that was far too much for me. It was like, this is like,
well, no,
a little bit over the
that
top.
wasn't towards the end really. That was sort of halfway through the game, I think. But,
yeah.
The thing is, I found them annoying that they were shoehorned in more because they weren't. I didn't not enjoy those parts of the gameplay. I still enjoyed those parts of the gameplay, but the parts where you're doing the Predator missions or when you're just fighting everybody around you, those are far more satisfying. So I think that's why people are complaining. But nevertheless, I still really enjoyed the game. That was, I guess, the main complaint. There were definitely some things they could have done better apart from, just the Batmobile being a little bit out of place. But I guess we'll discuss those in a little bit. But overall, I was really happy with how it went, and I think, generally speaking, the Batman trilogy of Asylum City and then Night was probably one of my favourites I've ever played, if not my very favourite, because all three games were of amazing quality, and I played them through from the first game through to the last in order, which is something I don't usually do, and I just really, really enjoyed it. So I'm still playing it now on about 97% completion. I believe Callum's on 98%. What percentage are you on, Oscar?
About 5.
Well, okay, this is the thing, right? I've completed the whole main story mission, which of course is the Scarecrow thing, and at the moment I'm on about 62 or something %, I think. And yes, it's not quite as much as what these two have got to with their 97-98% completion or whatever. But I've had lots of other things I've been playing. I've recently bought GTA. Little Planet 3 was another one that came out.
Okay, but what did you think of the game? Did it live up to the hype?
I definitely thought it was a very, very good game. As in, for considering all the games that kind of big game releases are coming out towards the end of this year, I'd say it's definitely one of the bigger games which has come out in the summer, which is like an area of the year when not many games come out. Let's be honest. So I'm glad it came out at that time because it's something you can play throughout the summer, and it is a game which I'm sure you guys are still playing now. And obviously, you can technically play it infinitely, but once you've got that 100% completion rate, you kind of think you've fully completed the game. But I enjoyed it. I thought the gameplay was very, very good. Again, the Batmobile was overused, but I did like the mechanics of it. It was a very, very good thing. Although to me, it didn't feel very much Batman. It felt very much like a typical kind of like action adventure game, like using a car,
what defines Batman then? Because you say it doesn't feel very Batman, and
superhero.
Well,
I don't know.
But like away from that completely, like you haven't played the other games in the series. So what defines you don't feel like Batman?
Yeah, that's a very good point. It's a very good point. But I've always seen the idea that Batman is someone who kind of flies in and hits someone more than uses a car and kind of hits someone or whatever. I mean, it's also interesting because there's like that kind of like idea that he never kills anyone. But
no, you can't say that because the weapons that are on the Batmobile in
That's
this
what I
game
thought.
are the riot. It's no. It's a riot control gun. So
yeah,
he doesn't have the
deadly.
60 mil or the
just
Vulcan
stuns
cannon
him.
on it.
Seriously?
Yeah, it knocks
Wow.
him out. So
is that actually confirmed? Cause
they
I
say it in
yeah.
the game. If you played the game enough,
yeah, if you
they
played the game, you'd actually know
say it,
that. Which
Okay.
is keeping in theme with what Batman's all about, not killing.
I guess they had to make that. I guess they had to make that kind of point there with the idea that it was obviously not a lethal weapon. But it's still an enjoyable game. The story actually was quite interesting. I loved the idea of having Joker in there. Even though some people Ghost, for example, doesn't really like the idea that it's felt like a bit of a cop out to have Joker in there. Even though I enjoyed his presence quite a lot, I thought he kind of brought the satire.
You can't deny that he wasn't like hilarious throughout it.
There's no doubt that you love Joker whenever he's in there. He's an amazing character. So from that point of view, I mean, I can't say I didn't enjoy it, because you do. I mean, he's very funny, of course. But I do think they had a very good chance with Batman Arkham Knight to develop the character of Scarecrow more. I don't think they achieved that. I think for the most part he was just not present in the game. And they also had a chance to develop some other characters. I think they could have done a really good job at making some power struggles in there now that the Joker wasn't around. So of course there was Penguin, and there was Two-Face, and there
but that was explained at the start of the story, that there was no power struggle.
Exactly, that there was no power struggle, and that Scarecrow was trying to get them all together. But then they simply dished out all these different villains into side missions, and I don't think they developed their characters a lot. So that would be another criticism I had of it, because I think they could have definitely developed Scarecrow more, and especially the other villains in the side missions, because you didn't really get to know about them a lot. Instead, they brought back the Joker, and it was a bit unoriginal.
I think that the main criticism that I would have is pretty much the same as Oscar, that the Batmobile was way overused. I mean, I did enjoy the fact that they implemented it, because it was helpful, but yeah, like you said, it was kind of forced upon you, and you couldn't kind of get out of doing that sort of mission if you were pushed into it, which kind of made it a bit tedious for you, like Oscar said, defending the plant or whatever, or whenever you need to destroy those bombs or whatever it is around the city. It just took too long, and you didn't really want to spend your time in a Batmobile. You'd rather do what Batman does and glide about.
That's an optional side mission.
No, I know it's an optional side mission.
Yeah, so you don't have to do it.
But if you want to get 100% completion, you have to do that.
Yeah, if
so
you want
therefore, it's still kind of
true
like
ending.
a forced thing.
If you want 100% completion, you're someone who's enjoying the game a lot and enough to already want to complete the game. You don't have to play it.
True,
it's completely optional. I get it with the story. I get it was shoehorned in the story, because that's perfectly. You can complain about that all you want, because if you buy the game, you want to complete the story. But the side missions, they're optional. You don't need to play those. And that particular side mission is there if you particularly enjoy using the Batmobile. You don't need to play it if you don't enjoy it.
I don't enjoy using the Batmobile. I did it because I want to get the true ending of the game, which I haven't got yet. So that's the only reason I used it.
No, you can still do the Nightfall protocol without
it doesn't
having
give
to
you
do
the
that
true
one.
ending.
Okay.
Did you not know that?
No,
you stupid.
No, I knew that there's different endings for the Nightfall protocol, depending on whether you've done all the side missions or not. And that's another point of discussion. I think the idea of having all the having the true ending after completing all the side missions was a good one. I do think, however, to do all the Riddler stuff, that's again a little bit of a niggle. Because I don't think anybody really wants to complete all those, out of enjoyment. I mean, some people would do it out of being a completionist, but I think you should be able to offer the full. Yeah, you should be able to offer the full ending after all that time. But I guess that's another bit about it. But I think overall, I mean, all these complaints we're discussing here are some things that I didn't find big enough for me to not enjoy myself. I think that I still enjoy myself just as much as the other two games. So they were niggles that were definitely valid, and problems about the game were definitely there, but I personally still really, really enjoy myself. And at the end of this year, I'll probably look back and think that I had the most fun on this game. So.
Yeah, I mean, another thing I wanted to quickly bring up about the Batmobile is the idea that, yeah, you could drive it through all the way through the city in like an open world type thing, but logically, most people choose the idea of flying.
It's quicker to travel by flying anyway.
Much faster. Exactly, that's the point. It's a much faster process of getting over there. I mean, you see that like massive waypoint in the distance with like 800 odd meters in the distance. You're like, well, what are we gonna do? I'm gonna press L1 to get the Batmobile, or I'm just gonna dive down and glide. I mean, obviously everyone's gonna choose glide. So, in that sense,
10 times cooler anyway.
I don't understand how that's a problem though. Why is that a bad thing?
It's not a problem.
It's not a problem. It's just the idea that you'd like
more ways to get there.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, I mean, I like the idea of having the variety of either flying or driving, and you see in pretty much every single open world game now that there is an element of driving, there is an element of running or whatever. So I mean, yeah, I feel like maybe the game did take up a little bit more of a not like a sandbox, but like it definitely took elements of like GTA and all these different kind of open world games where. I mean, it's still a very much story-driven game. And I mean, like you compare it to something like GTA, and you'd probably say Batman probably does have a better story than that.
There's no probably about it. It was a million times better story than GTA.
So I'm glad that what they managed to do was bring that that kind of what's the word, like parity between the story and the gameplay, and the way they've done that is brilliant. And not many open world games managed to do that. I mean, you look at examples like Far Cry 4. The story was average.
Average to poor.
Average to poor.
You bastards.
The gameplay in Far Cry is brilliant, but the story isn't great. And I mean, you see it in lots of different open world games. And amazingly, Batman has managed to bring, a fantastic
bring those
story
two things together
and
really
fantastic
well
gaming
into
together.
a great
And
game,
I think that's like the overall thing is that the story's good, the gameplay's good, and the game is a very, very good game. So yeah.
I also think they managed to.
Go on.
I also think they managed to bring in elements of the previous two games, like into this game quite well. They managed to integrate them in, and I think that if you were a fan of those previous two games, you may well have enjoyed this game more, because like it didn't really introduce any of those things. Like I remember in Arkham City, you had to like sort of work your way through the game to find all these different gadgets. In Arkham Knight, it pretty much gives all of them to you at once. So if you were new to the series, you probably wouldn't have known how to use a lot of them, and you probably would have had to learn how to use them. But if you already knew the game, then you would have actually been using all those weapons like on the fly already, and it just felt really good because you sort of knew how to do everything without the game even having to explain anything to you. So I found that quite satisfying too. But yeah, go on, Callum.
You said actually, just following on from what you did, you said they integrated stuff from the previous two games into this one, yeah. So like they put in the Scarecrow Nightmare missions, which I think in this game were horrendous compared to say Asylum, which were a lot more, I don't know, I guess more based around that character.
They were
like
more
Scarecrow
varied
character.
for sure.
Yeah.
I think, but again, I mean, the Scarecrow missions, there were like 3 of them, and in Asylum there seemed to be more. And Asylum, I think the manner in which they were introduced into the game were much more effective, because there was that one time you thought it was weird, like you were playing and then the screen went all like retarded, and you thought your PS3 had broke or something like that.
I did as well.
Yeah, and then like it comes up, and that was like the best thing ever. I loved it when that happened. But I thought the way Scarecrow was in Arkham Asylum was more intimidating than he was in Night, in my personal opinion. Although that's just a matter of opinion.
I think he was very, very passive in this game. He seemed very passive.
Yes, but
I mean, apart from
he
the idea
seems
of,
so
of,
relaxed
of
about
obliterating the bomb, and then right at the end where it kind of reveals who Batman is. Like,
Yeah.
he seems very passive. It seems like very much Arkham Knight. I mean, I know that's understand the name of the game, but it seems like it's more focused on firstly the conversation between Joker and Batman, and then also the idea of finding out who the Arkham Knight is. And then Scarecrow seems to be not really that like not in the story that much. Very passive, as I said,
and being passive wouldn't be such a big problem, because he
But
was
that's not
passive
his
in
character.
Asylum. He was very passive in Asylum because he just sort of jumped out on you at times, and that wasn't such a big problem back then, but it is a bigger problem in Night, of course, because he's meant to be the main character, the main villain.
And he's meant to be getting revenge on Batman after what he did to him. So it's like, really? You'd think they'd give him a bit more character development and make him a bit, like, unpassive. I can't think of the word right now.
So yeah, I mean, we're going through all these different problems of this as if the game's bad, but
It's not
you
bad.
know,
it's a great game to play.
Yeah, as I said before, I mean, all these problems adds up to something that's very small in terms of what the game does really well, and as a result, I think I've really enjoyed myself. But any of you guys have any closing comments to make?
No, not really. I was thinking, like, just want to, like, overall give it a score out of 10. Like, if you really wanted to, like, give it, like, a score out of 10, what would you kind of say?
Are we allowed decimals?
Yeah, decimals. Like, and literally anything between, like, 9.
I would give it an 8.
I'd give it an 8.0 in my personal review.
Oh, God. What would you give it? Go on.
Me? Well...
go on, Oscar. Carry on. Whatever.
Okay, I was going to say I was going to give it like a 9.3 or a 9.2. A very, very good game. The Batmobile's overused, as I said. And there's, little minor things which I would like say, kind of like the annoying things. And then pretty much overall the game is very, very good. Like, you cannot deny it's a 9 out of 10 game. So, yeah, 9.3 I'd probably say, yeah.
Yeah, I'd say that's
reasonable.
That's very fair. I would give it around about that, maybe a 9.5, something like that. I think all the problems are what holds it back. Of course, I'd say Arkham City was definitely a 10 out of 10, but Arkham Knight just didn't quite do enough in terms of those problems, which is why I would bring it down. In regards to, I'd just like to make a jab at Robin. I think he gave it a 9.3 out of 10, gave Shadow of Mordor like a 9.5, which is complete bullshit because like Shadow of Mordor's not even half as good as this game. But I just wanted to mention that anyway. So yeah, I'd give it about that.
Yeah, but they're basically
Go on,
similar
Callum.
games anyway. They
But
pretty much
Arkham
are
Knight
similar
does
games.
everything better.
Yeah, it has the
Literally.
Batmobile.
No, come on, it does everything. There's so much more depth in gameplay, interesting characters, better story, just everything. Anyway, just go on, Callum. What's your score before we ramble on too long?
21. I'd give it a 9 as well, I reckon, around
Yeah.
that sort of region.
That's about
Same
right.
sort of reasons, Batmobile, like the Scarecrow missions were crap, I thought, in all honesty. Like, I wish I didn't have to pay for the DLC that's coming out, really. But I'm probably going to do that anyway because it is such a good game. And I really do actually need to finish the game as well. So, yeah, I'd give it a 9.
Okay, so that is the end of the video. We'd all love to know, of course, what you think about Batman Arkham Knight. Do you think it was better than the other two games, or did you just play the Batman Arkham series for the first time in this game? Go ahead and leave your thoughts in the comment section below. But for now, thank you everybody for watching, and we all hope you have a fantastic
Pause for 10 minutes.
Pause. Dutch.
Banter.
day.